Hey everybody, welcome back to a new video. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can connect up a massive battery bank. This is a 40 kilowatt hour battery bank to the F3800 Plus or the F3800. Now about 10 months ago, I put out a video showing how easy it is to get direct access to the internal battery on the power station. Whenever the power station is turned on, you actually get live battery voltage at the expansion battery port. So all you have to do is modify the expansion battery cable so you can connect up external batteries. Now technically this will work on any power station that has this same connector. So the F3800 Plus, the F3800, the F3000 and the C2000 Gen 2 all share this same expansion battery cable. Now what's the main benefit of adding your own batteries to the Anker power stations? Well, the Anker proprietary batteries do not have any external connections. There's no additional solar input and you can't get access to that battery. And so they're kind of locked down to the power station. And then if you add a bunch of batteries, the solar charging isn't very fast. Well, if you use the expansion battery port and connect up your own expansion batteries, you can actually add on solar charge controllers, you can connect up your own battery chargers, and you can use the solar input from the power station. Everything kind of just joins together into one giant battery, so you get massive run times and you can add additional solar input. And I've been testing this for about 2 weeks and it's been working really well. So let me just take a second to walk through this entire setup. So this is the F3800 Plus. I have the expansion battery cable going to an Anderson SB175. In my other video, I showed you guys how to make this adapter. So I'll include that video down in the video description so you guys can check that out. Now I also have two different solar arrays connected into the F3800 Plus. So this is charging with solar input. Now, these batteries here are all 51.2 volt nominal lithium iron phosphate batteries, and they're all tied together in parallel. So I have 10 kilowatts here, I have 16 kilowatts here, and 14 and a half kilowatts in this stack of batteries. And those are all tied into these bus bars here with their appropriate circuit breakers. This big battery has its own circuit breaker built in. Now the benefit to this is I have 4 different solar arrays throughout my yard, on my shed, and carport. Those 4 solar arrays come in from outside, they go in through these DC breakers, and then I have 2 of the solar arrays going into the F3800 Plus, and then I have the additional 2 solar arrays going to these charge controllers to charge up this battery bank. So they're all charging together. Now this is my Reliance Controls ProTran 2. It's the 10 circuit 50 amp version. You can see all 10 circuits are on the generator input, which is this input right here. The power station cable is connected in and is powering these 10 circuits. So if you follow that wire, it goes down and it's connected to the F3800 Plus inverter. Now this inverter is good for 240 volt split phase output at 6,000 watts. Now if we take a closer look at the screen on the power station, you can see it's actually charging right now. We are at 96% state of charge. We are showing about 571 watts going out to the loads on the transfer switch. We are still charging with 850 watts input. Now it's later in the day, but we are still getting a bit of solar. Now when you do this modification, the power station itself does not know what's happening via this expansion battery port. There's no communication. It's just a battery connection that's tied together in parallel. So the external batteries in the power station do a pretty good job staying in similar states of charge throughout the charging and discharging process. But if you have solar connected to those expansion batteries, the power station doesn't know. It only knows what's happening with these 2 charge controllers here. Now anybody who's familiar with my channel is probably wondering where my EcoFlow DPU is. Usually I have that large stack of batteries in the inverter right here. Well, I actually started having an issue with my DPU inverter. And because I still want to run everything off solar, this power station I put in its place attached to this 40 kilowatt hour battery. So for the last 2 weeks, as I've been troubleshooting my DPU and working through customer service, I've been using this in its place. And it's actually worked really well. There's only one issue you have to worry about when you're doing this sort of modification. And it's actually if you get these batteries charged up too high, or if you have too high of voltage connected up the expansion battery port, it's going to shut off the inverter. So how much voltage is too much voltage? Well, I was using this lithium iron phosphate battery charger to top off the entire system. You'll notice right here it says 58.4 volts. Well, as everything was getting up to 100% state of charge, in fact, the power station had been at 100% state of charge for a bit of time, but these batteries back here weren't quite there. After it got above 58 volts, the inverter shut off for the power station. So if you go above 58 volts, there's a chance that this will shut off from high voltage. So you want to make sure that your charge controllers or chargers are below 58 volts. Now, unfortunately, this battery charger does not have an adjustable voltage. It's always set to 58.4 volts. So the way around that is I just unplug this or disconnect it before everything gets all the way charged up. I can still completely use this. I just have to stop at around 99% state of charge. Now, luckily, my charge controllers over here have an adjustable setting for the voltage. So these were originally set to lithium iron phosphate 48 volts. But what I've done is I've actually set them both to lead acid gel batteries, which has a slightly lower voltage, and it's actually been working really well. These batteries still get up to full charge using the charge controllers, but they don't quite hit 58 volts. Now, if we look at the owner's manual for that specific charge controller, I have it set to the gel battery type, which is 14.2 volts. Now, it mentions if you're using a 48 volt system, you just times that by 4, which is slightly under 57 volts, and it's been working really well. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at each one of these batteries to see what they're at. This one right here is at 99% state of charge. Nope, that just shut off. If we zoom in on this screen, 100% state of charge, and then this one right here, also at 100% state of charge. Now, obviously, these 4 12-volt batteries in series, I don't have a display there, but then if we look at the power station, it's at 98% state of charge. So typically the BMS on each of these is going to be slightly different, but the battery voltage is very similar between all of these devices or batteries because they're all connected in parallel. Now, I thought this video would be an excellent follow-up video to my first video where it kind of showed how to make the cable, and I did all the extensive testing on the expansion battery port. This second video is more of like a proof of concept because I've been running this for 2 weeks. It's been working really well. The entire system just charges and discharges as one system. Having the external charge controllers connected up, having the solar plugged into the power station, it's just been working. Now, typically I'll have around 2,500 watts max because I really only run like a microwave or an air fryer or my garage door opener and just a few other electronics and lights and things like that. So this system doesn't really go over 2,500 watts, but if I was running multiple things at the same time, it would. You just want to make sure that with a 6,000 watt inverter, you have 3,000 watts on each phase. So you want to make sure that your phases don't go over 3,000 watts. You're going to overload the inverter. So you do have to kind of make sure that your inverter is built for, the system that you're trying to run. And this power station should be completely fine for that as long as I just keep track of what electronics I'm trying to connect up to it. So if you guys found this video helpful, make sure you leave a comment down below if you have any specific questions. What I'm thinking is that I'll do a basic wiring diagram. I'll include all the parts that would make this mod possible down below. There's no company that makes a plug-and-play cable yet. I'm hoping that WattCycle will come out with a cable for this soon. So if you're looking to do this modification, you're going to have to make your own cable or 3D print your own cable. I'll include some information of that down in the video description as well. There was a couple other videos where people actually tried to make a 3D printed adapter that would plug into this. And then obviously you can just connect this up with the proper wire size and DC breakers, and you should be good. So yeah, let me know if you guys have any comments about this. This test has been super interesting, running this for 2 weeks. And it's just a proof of concept. It definitely works. You can definitely connect a massive battery bank up to the Anker power stations. Thanks for checking out the video. We'll see you in the next one.